There's some food on the back table here too. Feel free to get up and eat anything that you want. There's some water back there too. Water. Okay. So which one do we think is A?
Juice.
How many, these are all tablespoons, so how many tablespoons do you think of sugar do you think are in A?
10.
Yeah, I'd say about 8.
Okay, so A is Coca-Cola. It's a 20-ounce Coke. And there's 6 tablespoons of sugar in it.
6 would be slightly less than half a cup. 6 tablespoons?
Yeah, you're right.
It's 3 coffees. And Mountain Dew is about the same, so they're about tied right there.
Mm-hmm. How about B?
C.
B.
B. Iced tea.
How many tablespoons of sugar do we think we have in B?
2.
You guys are good. Yep, it's 2 tablespoons of sugar, and it's an 8.4 fluid ounce Red Bull. So just the can. Red Bull energy drink. Okay, how about C?
Iced tea.
Well, it depends on how sweet the sweet tea is.
Yeah, I'm modeling this after McDonald's, so always comes in the large. So yep, C is the sweet tea. It's the large. Every time you order at McDonald's, it always comes in the large. They don't ever give you anything smaller. And it's got 4 tablespoons of sugar, and it's about 14 fluid ounces in a large. And so by deduction, our last one is the juice. And this is orange juice, no pulp. And it's got about 2 tablespoons of sugar in it for 1 cup. And so our average cup that we pour in the mornings are not 1 cup. If you've ever measured out juice before, it's usually not 1 cup that you're measuring out. It's almost 2 cups.
How big was the
So I don't
orange?
like to measure.
8.4 fluid ounces. So it's one of those cans.
Red Bull is caffeine.
It's an energy drink. It's got caffeine in
But
it.
it still has some sugar.
Yeah. And that's just a small one. Others have a lot more.
Yeah.
And it's important to be aware of how much sugar is in drinks because some of our calories can come from the sugar as well. So just because, as I said before, something says low fat or low calorie or no fat, that doesn't mean that it doesn't have a lot of sugar in it to kind of boost up that taste, which can also get you on the calories. So next, if you want to follow along with me, I'm on page 8 here. And we're going to get our fat and calorie goals. So to help you lose weight and improve your health, stay as close as possible to your fat and calorie goals. So I want you to find your starting weight below. Do we all remember our starting weight? And I want you to circle your fat and calorie goals. Just some information, a gram is the way fat and food is measured. A gram is a unit of weight, and 1 gram is about the weight of a paper clip. It may be hard to reach your fat and gram and calorie goals at first. Just try to get as close as you can. It's important not to go too low to see how few calories and fat grams you can eat. So try to stay at your goal and don't go too low just to see how low you can go. Is everyone finding their fat and calorie goals on page 8 of your handouts? The handout here.
And some of your goals might be a little bit different, like someone with diabetes may be required to be eating less carbohydrates. Someone with hypertension, your sodium goal could be much lower than the recommended 2400 milligrams. So it's just, this is a very generic, but we can tailor it for you if you want to. And you can talk to your health coaches, or you can talk to me, and I'll be very happy to talk.
just mentioned as a sodium.
Sodium recommendation is 2,400 milligrams. Most of us eat a lot more than that, and later on we'll be talking more about it. Sierra, are you talking about sodium today? No, so after 2 sessions, you'll be having one more. And as you are writing down your food, you can always look up, there is a sodium tracker here as well in the back. So you can always look at the sodium counter in the back. And most of your processed foods come with sodium. Most often, the canned products have a lot more sodium. So if you are using canned products, I recommend washing well. So, like, let's say I like black beans, let's say, I'll just pick something up. And it comes in a can. If I pour the whole thing, it has a lot more sodium. Then I wash it off, and then I'll use it.
And in addition to like the sodium, there's fat and cholesterol back here, the protein counters, there's all kinds of different stuff out here that you might utilize depending on it. Fiber, if your physician or anybody ever says increase your fiber, it shows you how to do that back here. There is different oils, so if you we'll do the demonstrations like later on, but if the different oils are back here with the different levels, which is kind of neat. Most people are actually using the incorrect oil, which we'll go into later.
And if you're ever having trouble finding something in your tracker here, there's also an index. I know that Samantha had briefly mentioned that earlier. So if you want to write down, and I'm going to go ahead and pass these out, Samantha. She said they were choosing it. Just gave me this. Yeah, so 2 for each.
Did you want the old one?
Yeah, you are going to turn in your old ones. We're going to do that at the end.
Yeah, and normally you would turn in your book when you get weighed, but we got weighed this morning, so you would normally just come in, get weighed, turn in your book to that health coach.
And there is a place to put your daily fat and calorie goals on the back of your booklet. So when you're eating your food or tracking your food, you can turn that over for a reminder, and then, and as well as the top of the pages. So there are 3 ways we can eat less fat and fewer calories. We can eat high-fat, high-calorie foods less often. For example, don't eat French fries every day, have them only once a week. We can eat smaller amounts of high-fat, high-calorie foods. Cutting back even a little on the amount you eat can make a big difference. So at the salad bar, don't use the ladle to pour on salad dressing. Most salad dressing ladles hold 4 tablespoons. That is 32 grams of fat for regular dressing. So it's just an example of how you can eat smaller amounts of high-fat, high-calorie foods. Also, instead, use a regular spoon from your place setting. Most 1 tablespoon or less. Most hold 1 tablespoon or less. So if you don't have the measuring spoon here, you can use your silver tablespoon at home. Try, if you ever do get tablespoons, try to measure to see what spoon, because not all sets are the same. Not all dining sets or china sets are the same. So you want to make sure that it's 1 tablespoon if you can. And third, we can eat lower fat, lower calorie foods instead. There are many low fat, low calorie items in the grocery store. For example, low fat salad dressing, skim milk, low fat yogurt and cheeses. As I've mentioned a couple of times before, just watch the sugar count on some of those. In the coming months, you'll discover a number of ways to eat lower fat and lower calorie foods instead. And so we have some examples on page 10. And here we have, so for example, instead of potato chips, like a 1 ounce bag, you can do pretzels, a 1 ounce bag of pretzels. Instead of roast beef and trim, you can trim the fat off your roast beef. And so it's just making some slight changes to our regular foods to eat less fat, less portions, smaller amounts of fat. Instead of sour cream on your baked potato, you could do salsa. On page 11, we have a menu makeover, and these are menus that show examples of small changes that have made a big difference. So instead of a high-fat, calorie breakfast with 2 fried eggs and a slice of toast with margarine and coffee, you could do bran flakes and skim milk. 1 slice of toast and coffee with non-fat creamer. Let's look to see what we have here for dinner. And instead of a breaded fish flounder and mashed potatoes and gravy, we could do baked fish and have mashed potatoes with no butter instead of having the milk and butter in our mashed potatoes. We could have gravy, but mix it with some water. So gravy mixed with water, so it adds a little bit of water in there. We can have the green beans without the bacon, and maybe use a non-fat broth to flavor it. So you can refer back to page 10 and page 11 when you're going over, how to make some alterations to your daily menus. Does anybody have any questions before we move on to what we're going to do as a homework of sorts or to-do list? Okay. Let's see here. So on page 12, we have our to-do list. So I will keep track of my weight. Weigh yourself at home at least once a week at the same time, day on the same scale. You can record this weight on the back of your keeping track book. Here. Keep track of what you eat and drink every day. Remember, spelling doesn't matter. It's important to be honest. If you want to use an abbreviation, just make sure that you tell your health coach what your abbreviation means. Make a plan to eat less fat and fewer calories, and follow it. So earlier you wrote down 5 foods that were high in fat and calories. So if you want to turn to page 12, we're actually going to go ahead and get a jump start on this. So you can pick one. Pick 5 of the foods that you wrote down earlier in your list on the very first page of your packet. The high fat and high calorie foods that you like to eat. You wrote them down on the page that looks like this. Page 2. So you're going to be working with page 2 and page 12 here. You're going to transfer over 5 of those foods that you listed, and then you're going to pick one of the 3 ways to eat less fat and fewer calories that we covered on page. That we covered on page 9. So you're going to write down what you will do between now and the next session. Be assured it's something that you can do. So we're going to pick 5 of our high fat and calorie foods, write them down on page 12, and then we're going to look at our 3 ways to eat less fat and fewer calories, and we're going to make a goal plan. So I will eat it only this, so less often. I will eat smaller amounts of this food, or I will eat a low-fat or low-calorie version of this food, or another food instead. Is anybody confused? Because I know I just said a lot, so.
Say for instance, potato chips, instead of eating the whole bag, don't eat half the bag.
Or you can eat 1 serving. Look on the back. Look on the back of your potato chips.
Or you can use the baked version of the potato chips, which is simpler, lower calories.
And if you notice on page 10, 11, you might not have gotten to look at it long enough, but potato chips are on both sides. So being able to, cut down on it, but also still being able to eat it. And that's because there are no forbidden foods. It's just, monitoring our portions, eating smaller portions, or substituting it for, like Dr. Moser said, a baked potato chip instead. And so you can fill out page 13 and right now if you want, or you can do it while you are at home. But it just says what I need to do to reach this goal. So this goal plan that we made on page 12 to kind of alter those 5 high-fat, high-calorie foods. What was the goal plan you made and what you're going to do to reach this goal? You're going to write down some of the problems that you might have in reaching your goal. And then before the next session, we want you to answer the 3 questions. Did you follow your plan? What problems did you have in following your plan? And what could you do differently?
Of course. Butter and margarine. What is the
Difference.
The difference, butter is pure, margarine is the take oil or something like that and add carbonation to make it solid. So something liquid was changed to solid and that's margarine. And margarine, they do that because it stays longer. So a lot of companies say, once I convert this not so long shelf-life product to a longer shelf-life, it will sell longer, right? So margarine is actually not good. I would recommend use oil. Sometimes I would say use butter. Butter is better than margarine.
Well,
But there is-
I had heard that, and
Yes.
that's why I was wondering.
But there are so many other alternatives available. I don't use butter or margarine, but I use this olive oil that is,
No olive oil.
yeah, so it's not butter or something. There's so many, and we'll talk about it, but that's a good question.
One more thing I want to ask you to do before the next session. Next session, we're going to be talking about physical activity. So if you could get the okay. The next session or the 4th session, we're going to be talking about physical activity. So if you could get the okay from your doctor to participate in physical activity. And that's what we always want to do before.
I mean, we have to put that in writing, right?
No. Just, say, hey, I'm in this class. We're going to be doing some physical activities. Is it okay for me to participate?
And let me tell you, we are not going to put you on treadmills and do your VO2 max and those things. We'll only give you pedometers and we will encourage you to walk. So it's a physical activity that anyone can do. But if you have any conditions, let's say you have a knee problem and you cannot or should not, I just wanted you to talk to your doctor if you have one. If you don't have a primary care provider, that's perfectly okay. Whatever we are doing, we have a doctor in our team who has looked at everything, so we are okay. But I just want you to let your doctor know that as well. Okay?
And the next session actually will be healthy eating. Sierra was ahead of us a little bit.
Sorry, guys.
But it gives you a couple of weeks to, if you end up talking to them over the phone or whatever, or if you know that you can be physically active. Some doctors are now prescribing you to do physical activity rather than giving you medication. So just let us know if you get the okay and you can take note of that.
Does walking include errands?
Yeah, anything. Look at today, you know how I was running around? That was bad for you guys. It may be good for me. Why? I have this PACER program. So far, I have walked 2,990 steps. As you can see, as I walk, it's automatically, well, I'm holding this. So if I hold this down, so it automatically would, and all day long, my phone was in my, so I walk around, right? I'm walking around as you're running errands, right? So 2,990 became how much? 3,010. So it is counting steps as I am doing whatever, okay? I do not recommend this morning's experience to repeat. I just want to apologize. I have been doing for 15 years, and I'll tell you, I have never had this experience. But it is helping me to prepare for the next time. Mon General does my blood work, and they have a phlebotomist, and just 2 days ago, the phlebotomist was sick and canceled. So we have to find someone quickly, but we are very thankful for John. Let's give John a big hand. And I want to take this time to introduce 3 new health coaches. So we have Stephen.
So,
So Stephen is a MPH student at WVU. He also works for Ruby Hospital, and Stephen would be here a few times, leading some of the sessions. Who are Stephen's?
I have Steve,
Steve,
right there in the
okay,
back, and Dorothy.
and Dorothy. All
Yes.
right. Dorothy,
I'll be your health coach.
he's your health
Oh,
coach.
you will?
So every evening you are getting a call from Stephen. Now, we will not call you unless you told us you want us to call. I encourage you to really talk to your health coaches. You have the option to text, email, or phone call from them. I really think that relationship builds up with phone calls. And I have had health coaches that, not only became their friend, but best friend. And one participant is no longer with us this year, but still wants to call her health coach. Samantha, can I call you if I have a question? Of course, he said yes. Next is Heather Zuka. Heather, would you please come up? And Heather is a MPH student, and Heather is going to graduate this semester. She's in the marching band. She's always cheerful. And
Except today I'm a little tired.
she's a little tired. Yesterday was a long day for Heather, and today morning we dragged her here too. So, Heather, who are your participants?
I have Patty and
Patty.
James.
All right, great, Patty and James. Okay, great, thanks. And Jay. And we have Jay Stewart. Jay. And Jay is a doctoral student in the College of Physical Activity and Sports Sciences, and is also doing an MPH. So Jay was a health coach last year. We did one in Morgantown, we are doing one in Morgantown and here. So it's a lot of work, and these health coaches are really excited to be with you guys, to help you. They're not here for money, I guarantee you that, okay? I am not here for money, I can assure you that. So we are here all together. I hope that in your journey we can be helpful, and this weekly communication, and also the sessions, feel free to ask us questions. We may not know all the answers, we will get to the answers.
And we do have 3 more.
You have, again, more. Okay, so I'm going to get some more that couldn't come. So we had a packed SUV with all the stuff we had to bring. So they'll be coming next week, hopefully. Okay, alrighty. You have any more?
No, I'm finished.
Okay.
And is anybody going to be missing next week at all?
Most likely.